to
see
do that.
people succeed. Right? We can't have the biggest wealth opportunity we've ever been given and for people to not take it. What's great about crypto overall is you fractionalize the ability. So for low cost, you're buying scarce assets. So everybody can put 10% of their paycheck in. So there is no fucking excuse. And so our job is to make as many people participate in this new gigantic paradigm shift as possible. And then we can look back on our lives and say, you know what, we did something good.
Hey guys, welcome to Everyday Finance. One of the largest cryptocurrency bull runs in history occurred during Trump's previous term in office. In Real Vision CEO Raoul Pal believes that the stage is now set for an even larger rally. Pal claims that the cryptocurrency market has just entered what he refers to as the banana singularity, a stage in which prices begin to move quickly and irrationally, and is exactly on track with the anticipated cycle timing. He highlights that this cycle is much more like 2017 than 2021, which is a big clue for investors. In 2017, for example, China increased economic stimulus, and Trump pushed for a weaker US dollar. Two major factors that drove the meteoric rise of Bitcoin and other digital assets. Now, with China once again injecting stimulus into its economy and Trump once again in the political spotlight, the conditions are ideal for another significant cryptocurrency rally. Hal thinks we're just coming out of the bottom right now, which means the momentum could continue to build well into 2026. Unlike 2021, when early economic tightening and decreased liquidity ended the cycle, he cautions that as the cycle picks up steam, things will probably get wilder from here, with significant gains possibly still to come. For Pal's detailed analysis of where he believes the cryptocurrency markets will go next and why this configuration might present one of the greatest asymmetric investment opportunities of the decade. Watch the video through to the end.
I first met Mickey, I can't remember, 5 years ago or so, and we started talking again. It was about NFTs, and I remember going to his house, and we were talking about Beeple and what he collected, and we talked about Xcopy, which he hadn't really collected, and what he'd been buying and why. And Mickey's the classic example. He's made a lot of money. He's probably the most successful fintech investor, VC investor of all time. And so his house is adorned with art. And so he's at that point in his life where art starts to become a passion. And he was early to crypto and could see the cultural relevancy of the whole thing. And so then to go, I really then starts building a macro thesis around punks, and then is like, I can do so much more. Now, building the node and the space that he's going to build is what Alan talked about when he talked about a Rembrandt museum or the Dali museum or Picasso museum, right? Mickey can now have a museum that's basis for punks. And it's based outside Stanford University, essentially. So you're based in the world center of technology wealth, and this is technology art. And we're going to have our own museum because he owns the IP. So it's for the greater good. And then around that, we'll start to build exhibition spaces for all of this stuff. So I think Mickey's vision, is unquestioned. The guy is an utter genius and one of the nicest people I've ever met as well. But what he's trying to do is really, really, really interesting. And, from the guy who makes VC bets in the future and gets most of them right, I wouldn't bet against him being right in this bet, his vision of the future, which is that digital art is going to be much more valuable and relevant than people ever understand today. I think he's not just thinking of the single location. It's, what mobile experience is, what can happen, what can be built from that. It's a lot because nobody's done it yet. And if my thesis is right, then it's blindingly obvious that this is the right way of doing it as well. That's a really good question. And the answer is I don't know. Because I see everybody trying to go down the Doodles approach or the Pudgies approach, which is create a non-crypto brand that has broader monetization. Can we turn it into cartoons? All of this stuff. I don't know if that's the answer. And it's going to be a real reflection on what Meebits mean to people. Why punks are interesting is because they're a bit punky. So they appeal to my generation, Gen X, because punk was the beginning of our teenage years. And it has a coolness factor. What is it that people like about Meebits and what does it remind them of? And I don't know the answer to that. Maybe it's just, it is what it is, and it's being part of it. But I think it's this, in my head, it's the digital twin. It's representing yourself in a different space. It may be the skin for your robot. There's something about them that are charming, but they're also cool. They're like these sort of cartoony characters of New York, as you've said, and they've got traits, so they're kind of fun and interesting. And there's an element of wanting to scale up with them. I think it's to do with that. Is how do you become your Meebit and your Meebit becomes you? I think if you crack that, then it doesn't matter all the other stuff, because I think people are looking at old business models and saying we want to copy Disney. And I don't think that's the model. I think it's something to do with the future. And it was again, you showed it because A, they're 3D. Okay, that's amazing. When you go into OpenSea and you click between the two, right? That's amazing. And then you show it in the game, and that was a bit of a holy shit moment to me. I'm like, oh, this is great. Because they're cute, but they're also cool. They're kind of street kids, right? So that street culture was your youth. It's the hoodie culture. But that wasn't my youth. That was your youth. Exactly. And so this is hoodie culture, skateboarders, all of that stuff. Okay, that's what you've got to me. That's what I think people recognize in Meebits. And I think they also can recognize themselves, their youth, their visions of their youth. And if that's the case, then you've got a chance that you and your Meebits can go through the singularity and become part of each other. Do that, and I think you can win everything.
If you missed the meteoric 2017 cycle, the entire cryptocurrency market reached record highs as Bitcoin led the charge, followed by a massive surge in altcoins. Now, with eerily similar conditions forming, analysts like Raoul Pal believe we may be on the verge of another extended bull run, one that could last far longer than most people think. With Trump back in the political picture, expected rate cuts, rising government spending, and global liquidity expansion are all coming together to create a near-perfect setup for another crypto boom. But this time, there's a crucial new component: the approval of Bitcoin ETFs, which weren't a thing in 2017, and they've already invested billions of dollars in institutional capital, which helped push Bitcoin over the $100,000 mark for the first time. On-chain metrics are supporting this optimistic view, demonstrating that long-term holders are actively building up. The exchange supply is decreasing, and interest in cryptocurrency is steadily growing globally. All indicators that the market is not only recovering, but also preparing for another potentially historic run. Raoul Pal is back to dissect everything and explain why this could be one of the most significant opportunities in recent memory.
The first question when I was saying I need to buy a Meeb, you and I know the same thing. I did it with the punk, is I want to buy one that looks like me or represents me. Right, it's the first thing. Why did we do that? I don't know. But the first thing, I had to buy a suntanned ape with sunglasses because he looked like Raoul, who lives in the Cayman Islands. And we had that conversation because you helped me bite my punk. And same with the Meebit. It's like, I need one that represents me because it is going to represent me. And there's something powerful in that message that really matters. And I think if you grab onto that and think of that as your true north, I think you're going to break new ground. Because I'm still collecting other things, and for me, they don't strike the same thing in terms of relevancy to my past, my cultural relevancy. What I know is this is your cultural relevancy because of how they are, what they are. And so that's why I've not bought a lot of them. And also, I'm not a big fan of buying lots of stuff to try and sell later. So the one I will do is I'll buy one, and maybe I'll buy a super rare one. That's more likely what I'll do, because I'm really not interested. I don't like doing that. There's 10,000 of these things. and
20.
I want 20,000, and I want 20,000 people to own one. Right? I don't like the idea that we go out and buy 500 of these things as a trade and then dump them on people. I just think if they're right, they're important. It's like everybody should have one. And I think it's the same with Meebits. So I don't do that. I've done it once, but it's not something I like to do. So I'm more likely to go up to the rarity. In fact, I'm highly likely to do that. I've been watching the rarer sales come through, looking at the skeletons. So I am already clocked onto that because a digital representative out of me within the Meebits community or the characterization I like. So yeah, the answer to Benji is no. Thinking it through myself, why is I don't do that. I generally don't buy a bunch of these things to make money. What I will almost definitely do is go up the scarcity to get the best possible one I can that represents me. And that's how I can hold it for 10 years too, because it's not a trade. I used this expression in the past, my forever punk, right? And I think it's the same with Meebits. And I actually feel quite strongly about that. It's different because you own the IP, but I don't think we should hoard them. Okay, maybe in the early stage, it needs some hoarding because you need to have 20,000 interested people. But I don't think they should be hoarded in large numbers. I think people should own one or two or whatever, if you want different characterizations. In the end, that will be your holy grail, to have 20,000 owners. If you've got 20,000 owners, you've actually won the game. It does, and I really like it. And again, I don't sell this. I've never sold anything. It will be about finding something really scarce and that also represents part of me. So we'll see what I can figure out.
To continue to do that,
people succeed. Right? We can't have the biggest wealth opportunity we've ever been given, and for people to not take it. What's great about crypto overall is you fractionalize the ability. So for low cost, you're buying scarce assets. So everybody can put 10% of their paycheck in. So there is no fucking excuse. And so our job is to make as many people participate in this new gigantic paradigm shift as possible. And then we can look back on our lives and say, you know what, we did something good.
History demonstrates that liquidity is the most potent factor propelling this cryptocurrency cycle. Even experienced investors like Raoul Pal miscalculated the rally in 2017, sold his Bitcoin after a tenfold gain, believing the run was over, only to watch it spike another tenfold by the end of the year. Many traders were shaken out early, but prices continued to rise due to unrelenting liquidity, resulting in a blow-off top that few had predicted. According to Pal, the same pattern is now emerging. Trump has returned. Significant liquidity infusions through rate reductions, government expenditures, and wider global easing are anticipated once more. Institutions are present in force. This time, though, so it's not just retail. This cycle could become even more explosive as a result of the approval of Bitcoin ETFs, which has already caused billions of dollars in institutional capital to flow in and major corporations to join in. Pal also points out a crucial change in how the cycle might conclude. In bear markets, Bitcoin has historically crashed 70 to 80%. But this time, he anticipates a 40% correction because of the space's increased maturity and stronger foundational support. The game is completely altered by that. As the market rises, investors who are waiting for a violent crash to re-enter the market risk missing out entirely. As usual, cryptocurrency rewards those who weather the storms. Just as Ethereum and Solana surged through earlier cycles to generate enormous profits, today's resilient projects have the potential to grow into tomorrow's titans. People who stay patient, focused, and invested will be the ones who stand to gain the most from the next wave of innovation, which is happening more quickly than ever before.